Just thought I'd best take a video of the tap before I change it. So this is the original tap that we have on the i56 hot cold water. I'm replacing it with a 4-in-1 hot water tap, which will filter the water and also filter the secondary filter on the drinking water, and also provide hot water, so I haven't got to put a kettle anywhere because I haven't got much space to put a kettle. Anyway, I will first take off the hob and then I can expose all the pipe work underneath. I've already taken the drawers out. Yep. Okay, all my goodies have arrived. So I bought this here, which is a redring or Reditap, and that comes with the boiler, the hoses, and a 3-in-1 tap. But I'm not going to use the 3-in-1 tap because it's a little bit taller and wanted to keep the height of it as low as possible. And also I fancy putting a 4-in-1 tap which has got the water filtration in. So I opted for this tap here, which I'll put the details in. So this tap was 89 quid. It feels good, great quality. What I do like about it is all the hoses are already pre-connected into the tap, because sometimes when you're screwing these hoses into the bottom, that it can be a pain to get them to seal properly and not over tighten. So they're all labelled up. Obviously you have to stick them through in a certain order. We've got 1/2 inch, we've got 3 3/8, and we've got 2 1/4 inch push fits on here. So obviously I have to start with a big one, and you'll feed them all through and they'll fit through the small gap that this goes through. We also, in this bag, we have this little 1/4 inch connecting pipe, which is for connecting the filters together. We've got this, which is for, where has that gone? For the cold feed, gets split 2 ways. We've got a little 4mm T-piece. So great bit of kit. We've got the normal hot and cold here, and then we have hot water, which has got like a spring against it, push button down, spring against it, hot water, clicks back to center, and then you press it in and there's no spring and it just goes towards you. That's for cold filtered water. So here is the boiler. So this is the boiler which I went for. It is 2 litres instead of 2.4, which is the normal one you get on most of the hot water taps. It's got what else is different about this? Oh yeah, it's 1 kilowatt instead of 1.5. So 1 kilowatt will use about 4 amps. Obviously most of the time on a site you're restricted how much power you can take, so trying to make it smaller so when it kicks in and out it's less likely to cause you a problem. Also, there isn't a sophisticated kind of digital display to switch it on and off, so whenever I get to the site and I plug it in, it will just go on, which is what I want. I don't want to reach through into the back of the cupboard to press a button, so that's another reason why I got it. So looking at the blurb, which you'll see when you read it, but basically when you put the hot water tap on, you have to adjust the temperature here. And that finds the sweet spot where it's not kicking in all the time. So where it's just about boiling, that's where you adjust it. So I'll have to have an experiment with this. The only other thing we have is, for some reason on the hot water supply, it comes into this valve here, and we have this little vent tundish. So out of the hot water we have a 3/8 connection here, which goes onto our tap, no problem. And then what this thing's designed to do is let the hot water that's in the tap run back through this here. It gets a non-return. It'll go back into this little tundish, and then using this flex here, this will go into the drain. Don't know why they have to do it. Maybe it's a safety feature, but most of the hot water taps don't have this, but we'll fit it anyway. And the other great thing I wanted was this. So all the other tanks don't have a drain. I wanted a drain because the van obviously will be stored over winter. I don't want to leave it full of water. I'd like to, obviously there's going to be a heel in the bottom of the tank, but I want to drain it down as best I can for when I'm storing it. So got a little 3/8 BSP valve, got that off Amazon, it's cheap as chips. Screw that in. I'll have a little hose and that'll go, drill a hole down into underneath the deck, and I can drain that down easily. I also bought from Amazon a little kit here, 10 meters of 4mm, comes with some connectors. I think that was about a tenner, and also got some 4mm pipe clips to neaten everything up. So I'll go and try and start fitting it. So one thing I didn't show you, here is my water filter, or this is one of them. So this is what's it called? Antibacterial filter. So I'm going to put two filters on the system. One will be a normal anti-scale charcoal filter, which you have with most 3-in-1 water taps and boilers. And then I have this additional filter here, which filters the cold water. So while we're here, the other advantage of this Redring boiler is it's really easy to take apart. So you can physically take it apart, you can clean off any scale, you can put descaler in it, heat it up again and get rid of it. So you can really maintain and keep on top of this if you need to, but we're not using it that often, so I can't see it being scaled up. These filters here were about 32 quid, something like that, and they come with replaceable filters every 6 months. So you literally just unscrew it, filter, that's about £18, £17, something like that. Again, I can't see me going through many because it's in the van. When I bought the hot water tap, I thought it would come with the standard charcoal filter, but it doesn't, so I ordered another one which is due today. So I'll just show you the instructions and you can maybe pause and have a look at this. Is what has come with the tap, and I've just photocopied to try and make sense of it in my head. So I've labelled up these lines where I've got 3/8, that's the size of the connections. I've got a 1/2-inch connection there, and then there's some 1/4-inch connections going in, push fit into here. So we also put where you got this T-piece here, in between here, this is where you put the second filter. So I drew a little diagram. For me, it's only a little sketch, but while I'm here, you can pause it if you want. That just made a little bit more sense to me how everything's going to work and any extra bits of kit I needed. So I needed here some not 1/2-inch pushers. So here is I put 1/2-inch here, but it's actually 12mm push foot to a 1/2-inch BSP, because the pipes on the motorhome are 12mm and the connections on the tap is a 1/2-inch BSP. So I've written there, but I have ordered them. That's them there, 12mm push and 1/2-inch BSP. So that's there. I've needed these 1/4-inch BSP here, which is for the filtration system, and they come in this pack here. And then I think I also needed I think this one here, 3/8 BSP male going to a 1/4-inch push fit here, and that actually comes with the tap, with the Redring. I may replace that because I'm going to sell the tap, try and get some money back. So I hope this makes sense. The instructions are all online. I'll let you know how I get on as I fit it all. So I've just got the last bits I need. So I've got this here, which is for overflow pipe. So it's got a 21.5 ID, external 25mm. And it came to, what's that there? £6.67. Got a couple of Jubilee clips. I had to buy this big, like 3-meter length, just for a little length. So the internal of these is 20mm. So as you can see, that doesn't fit in there. That's why I've got to put a piece of this into here, solvent weld, and the other piece here. And have a Jubilee clip on it, and then this will fit within the drain pipe of the van. I'll just show you how that is. So this is the drain pipe which comes off the sink here. So that's 25mm ID, so that will fit. That will fit in there perfect. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the vertical section so it's less likely to plug up. So first things first, let me put that on wide. I'm going to take this shelf off and take the shelf out and get some little screws here, and you'll see here there's a little sticky label over the screw. Just need to peel that back. I'll do it with a sound knife blade. Peel that back and you'll find the screw. So I think there's 4 here. I'll lift that shelf off and then I've got a better idea how things are positioned. I've scribed a line with a pencil just underneath that shelf so I can see where the shelf sits, and I'll have to sit the boiler in the back of here, run the pipes and see how everything kind of fits in. Okay, that's how the hot water tank fits in. Looks like I've got 25mm either side, so I'll probably put a bit of insulation each side, even though the tank in here gets lukewarm. I was going to take this whole panel out here to gain access to the water pipes down there, but it's too much hassle. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to cut this panel out here, a bit of tape. I'm going to cut out with a multi-tool, and then this will give me access to the tap and the pipe work and all that business. Just undone that screw there just to get the pipe out of the way. And the panel will still be strong because it still have the wood at the top all around the perimeter, and all the strength will still be there. Okay, not the prettiest, but it gives me a massive whopping hole just to, easy access for here, and all the pipes. Much easier. You won't even see it, won't notice it. Okay, first problem I've come across is that the hole is 30mm because it's a little bit smaller, and this one is 35mm. So I don't know if you've ever tried to drill a hole bigger when there's already a hole. It's very tricky. So I did see this hack a while back and I never used it, but basically I'm going to get a piece of wood, I'm going to screw that into the bottom, and then I will pilot this, and then the pilot hole will guide it through because it's going through here, and we'll cut a new nice neat hole. That's the theory anyway. Wish me luck. Okay, so I'm all ready for this. I've got my block underneath there, which was a bit of a pig to do. I had a small block, I drilled 4 holes, and I've ended up putting a screw that side and that side. Kind of need to drill through and pilot as well, and then screw up. It was just a bit of a pig to do, but I've done it. And I've also had to change, this is the drill bit that comes with the hole saw, and it's just not deep enough to go through, so I just got another drill bit, a longer one, and an Allen key on the bit. I'll just undid that, put a longer one in, and then that'll reach through the hole. And what I've done is I've put the hole kind of more that way to push the tap this way, which is away from this little shelf thing here and away from the wall. But I'm only going up to 35mm from 30mm, so it's not a big difference. So as you can see, look at that, I'm quite impressed with that. Perfect, neat hole. So yeah, for once in a while I've actually used one of those little hacks that you see on YouTube. Okay, thought I'd give you a bit of an update. So the hot water there, so I've cut back the red plastic 12mm pipe. I screwed the adapter on the end of the braided hose, got that tight. It is plastic, so don't over tighten it, and then push fitted it onto the red pipe there. I've then roughly fitted just with 1 screw, because this has got to be straight, the drain valve assembly, screwed onto here, which is the hot water, which is number 6. Put a little pipe clip just underneath there. I had some 10mm, which seems to fit with the lock. I'm going to make sure that this hose assembly is above this non-return valve here, otherwise it won't function properly. What else have I done? I've 35mm hole again. I've gone through here, just above the shelf line. And then, what else is there? I'll go around this side. You can see, hopefully, where are we? Let's go into focus. So you can see the grey pipe with the T-piece fitted. So that's going to fit. See where I've got the white corrugated hose on the left hand side, there's a pink mark. That's where I'm going to cut the corrugated hose and fit that T-piece in. Now I've unscrewed the bottom bracket there, which is an absolute pain in the butt. So to do that, I've got one of the, where are we? This little screwdriver set here, little diddy thing. I had to basically stick my head all the way down there, my arm through there, and unscrew it. And also, for your info as well, to drill that hole there, I use one of my, where are we? I've got this in here, this is like a right angle drill adapter. It's only a few quid off eBay, I've had it a while, really useful. I've also drilled a 12mm hole here, because this is a filter. This is where my filter's going, here, and the hose is going to travel through there. I'm going to be, oh yeah, I did another 35mm hole through here, and that's going to be my the cold feed to the filter system. So I'm going to now chop this pipe here and fit in that T-piece, which is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, but anyway, leave that with me. Okay, so I've connected up the T-piece here, disconnected that end. It's going to be easier to build it here and then thread the grey pipe back through the wood and up to the drain. So it's a bit of a peg because it's so deep in. I'm using one of these. I'll zoom in. I'm using one of the like T-bolt clamps because they're easier to connect and give a better seal. I'm using a bit of silicone grease on the joints, just so it doesn't, well, to help it go in and also so it doesn't leak. Okay, fingers crossed. Okay, so new day, can have a little start of this. I'm trying to look for the power and what the best way of doing it. So I was going to route or put a socket on here and route the power through the back of there, through the back of the water tank, through the back of that plastic cap, because I've got a double socket just behind there. I thought that'd be easy to control, switch it off and on, but because I'll have the water heater there, which is 1 kilowatt. I've got the wire from that socket over to here. I've got a 1 kilowatt fan heater underneath the driver's seat, and then underneath here we've got the charger for the batteries, and then we've got the fridge, and then we've got a plinth heater over here. It's just got the potential for too much power to be drawn off the same cable, so I'm not comfortable about doing that. So that means I'm going to have to go underneath the shower into the consumer board here, and somehow get it through here. So I've got one of these rods. I'm hoping I'll be able to feed that through from the wardrobe and get it underneath here, and then I can put a box in here, because I've got plenty of depth here from the drawer. It'll be just on the inside, so I can switch it off and on. But that's going to be my best choice, so wish me luck. I'm just about to give up because this was a pain. But I was bringing this in. I measured basically, well, I stuck it in so I had it looked like it was going in parallel to that back wall, which is actually 14 inches. And then when I measured back here 14 inches, it was here, and you can just see the end of the brass there. So I'm gonna grab that with a pair of long nose pliers and kind of force it up, and then I can feed a wire through. But it was a pain. Alternatively, you could maybe drill a 35mm hole or something like there and fish it through, but I've had success. There's Lady Luck's looking at me today, so I'll crack on. Okay, that wasn't as easy as expected. I don't know if you can see this here. I've got the little blue thing over because it was so tight. It snapped off the end, and I've got a thinner wire. That's just a little bit of wire I've got lying around. I'm going to chase that through, and then I'm going to feed through 1.5 mil to an earth. It's a short run, it's only 4 amps, so that'll suffice. I had to also just take a little bit out of this panel just at the back, just so I could get the angle to get that blue thing up. It was a pain in the butt, but at least it's through and it's nice and neat. Okay, not the best video with this bit, but it's all wired in. I don't know if you've done any wiring on this before, but they have these plugs for putting in extra circuits, but I don't have these plugs, so I just put the wires directly into the MCB. So wires directly into the MCB, and you've got some terminals just to the left hand side, spade connections for the earth, so you just need to crimp one on there. Okay, it's a fiddly job. Obviously I did the board loose to give me a little bit more leeway, and fed a bit of wire in there to enable me to get the board off again if required, but it is a pain, but it's perfectly doable. Decided to put the socket up here, just using one of these pattress boxes. Thickness should fit in there once it's cut, and it's going to sit up quite high. I'll put a little groove in the slot so the cable will be nice and tucked out the way here. Okay, I've mounted the boiler. I've decided to mount it higher up the wall. I've put a couple of screws in there, purely for the reason I took the drain valve out expecting it to be a 3/8 fitting, but it's not. It's a much coarser fitting and a touch smaller, so I'm gonna have to do some more digging to see if we can get some kind of tap to go in there permanently. So anyway, these are my casserole dishes. Exciting, aren't they? But the big one here easily fits 2 litres, so worst case comes, I can just slide it underneath there, undo the thing, put the water into there, put the plug back in, and get rid of the water. And also it gives me somewhere to actually store the dishes out the way. I've also got the shelf here. This is the shelf that goes on top. I've cut a slot out for the pipes, because the pipes sit on top. And then I can take the shelf off and on quite easily to be able to work on the boiler, or take the boiler off, or descale it, or do whatever I need to do with it. I thought that would be the easiest way of doing it. Okay, I'll crack on and start looking at the cold water and the filters, which are going to be mounted behind the drawers. They're out the way, and then obviously you just have to take the drawers out to change the filters, which are meant to be every 6 months for normal use, but this isn't normal use unless I get to retire and go away for a year. Anyway, stop dreaming, Adam, get on with the job. Okay, it's time to test. So I thought I'd just put the drawer in just to make sure that we've got clearance, which we have, so they fit nicely behind there. Just for your info, when you come to take this drawer out, underneath here got this little blue thing here. Pull it out, it's like a pin. Okay, and the same on the other side. Yeah, that's a pin going in there, so you just pull it out and then the drawer lifts off. So this is what I've ended up with. I'll go from the other side as well. The sun's actually shining, which is nice. So here we have the carbon and the anti-scale filter, and then this is the antibacterial filter, which is for the drinking water. So basically the water supply comes in here, into here, through here, and then we bypass the antibacterial one because that goes to the goes back to the tap and then ends up going back to the water tank via this one here. It's got the adapter, this cold feed here, or if you want cold water, it will carry on going through the anti-scale and the carbon filter, through the antibacterial filter, through there, and I've got a connection up here. So everything is in nice and neat. I'm testing it, so I'm just putting down towels underneath all the areas. So hopefully everything will work first time, but in reality, when does that happen? And then I'm just going to seal the hoses there. I'm going to strap all them together. We're using a cable tie once I'm happy that everything's holding. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, so I've tested it all, put pressure on it, and it all works and no leaks, which is absolutely brilliant. I have flushed the tank through, I've flushed the water through. The only issue I've got is when I'm on hot water, which is pushing that away, it's coming out that little ton dish. So click a constant flow. Not a big flow, but it's a constant flow. Now, I'm sure that's not meant to be like that. So I've just contacted the customer service team and see what they say. Because I'm pretty sure what's meant to happen is when you release a tap, the water dribbles back down that drain, but when you put the tap on, it's meant to flow. But there's a constant drip there, but that might just be boiling. Anyway. Okay, we're all complete. So if you need to change the filters, just take out the top two drawers and you get really good access there. Obviously isolate the water, depressure it, and then undo the filters and replace. Had a few little tweaks on the boiler, the little valve on top. It's about halfway for us, it might be slightly different. See there, I just put the end of a little 6-inch ruler in there. You could use a coin or something like that and just rotate it to get it to boil at the right point. I've not heard from the manufacturers yet, but I suspect that this little ton dish here will just overflow as you're putting water in. I think it's more of a non-return valve, you know, on the right hand side, so the water in the tap runs back down drain. I don't know why it does that compared to other ones, but it does. I suspect it's because if the boiler is boiling quite a lot, it's going to produce steam condensate. Rather than it spitting out the tap, it comes up and it goes to its first place, which is the drain. The only thing I'd say also in the blurb or the instructions, it says to mount that ton dish as high as possible, and that is because if you get a blockage downstream, then the sink will fill up, and then the waste here could go down and then it could go back up here and overflow. So I can't see that happening. I have mounted it as high as possible because these sinks are very shallow. It's probably just to about there, so bear that in mind in the back of your head. It's easy to view anyway. So yeah, it went relatively all right. It did take a while. Is it worth it? I like doing little DIY jobs, and it probably took me 2 full days, maybe a smidge under, to install the tap and the boiler with the drain work and the filters and this additional drawer. Hopefully the additional drawer is going to be really good because I'm just fed up. Usually I get a plate and it's underneath everything here and everything's out of the way, so hopefully we can organise this drawer a lot better. We've got easy access to our plates and our champagne flutes and glasses for the kids. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed it, hope it's useful. Yeah, enjoy. One thing I didn't mention was over this end, this grey hose here has 2 ends, one's smaller and one's bigger. Now the bigger end you can actually manipulate it round the T-piece, so you don't need that big 3-meter length of 21.5mm pipe, so that just pushes on. I didn't need a clip, it was nice and tight. Like I say, I found it easier to use. Oh, I'm juggling around this. It's called like a T-bar clip, so it's probably about 30mm, something like that, on the bottom. the other end there, that's a little bit small, and that goes on really easy there. I hope that helps. I keep adding things here, can't help myself. So I've put this shelf in here, and I was going to leave the screws out so I've got easy access to adjust the temperature or anything like that. But there was no support on this end, so when you put something heavy over here, it's just going to tip up. So just put a little chop block underneath there, and now the shelf can be taken out quite easily and can stay in there without any screws, shouldn't rattle around. Okay, thank you. I don't think I covered this when I was taking the unit out, but to get this out, you've got these little bits of plastic that you press down to release at the top there. So it's quite tight, so what you have to do is you kind of have to lift it. Oh, when I'm putting it back, I'm going to lift it in place and then feed these over until it clicks in. So obviously you'll have to align them in here, feed them in. So when you're taking it out, you pull the drawer all the way out, you pull this down, release it, and then you have to feed these out of the way, and then you can lift it out. There's not enough width here because the fridge is in the way for it just to simply slide out. So you have to manipulate these runners at the same time. Hope that makes sense.